So, Bryan, first off, it's good to see you again. Welcome back.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. Appreciate it.
Hey, no problem, man. So yeah, first off, before we get into anything, how's the farming life? And that must keep you pretty busy.
Oh yeah, it's amazing, man. It truly is amazing. We're continuing to grow. We just got, pigs on the farm, so that they're freaking awesome. So love that. Does keep me busy. But you know what? It doesn't feel so much like work when you love it so much. So
Yeah, no doubt. A lot of guys I've talked to, a lot of fighters I've talked to, you talk about balancing, family life and training, but I mean, you got family training and farming, and we all know that can get busy. So, how do you kind of balance all the three?
you know what? I'm I'm blessed with an amazing wife who truly supports what I do as my profession and shares the same goals and the same things I want to do in life as far as farming goes and our family being the most important thing. So I'm truly blessed to have my wife by my side and she runs the farm while I'm in camp, her and my kids. My kids are pretty amazing and step up when I'm in camp and get things done and do what she needs to do. And so, man, I'm just truly blessed. It's obviously work in progress, but ultimately, most important thing is my family gets my time first, then fighting, then farming and all that. So they're the most important thing. So as long as we're strong in that base, we'll be strong everywhere else, and we are extremely strong in that base.
Excellent. And I mean, like for yourself, obviously dieting is a big thing for fighters. I mean, so for yourself, I mean, you must have like free range at the farm there.
Yeah, absolutely. We produce, we've butchered cows, have our own beef, have homegrown eggs and everything, and chicken. We're going to be butchering some chickens pretty soon here, create our own chicken, and then the pork from the pigs will eventually come. That's going to be like a 2-year delay process for that, as we're building our stock now. But um, the goal is to be as self-sufficient as possible, and we're on our way.
That's excellent, Brian. I mean, I think maybe you need to start a whole like Bam Bam Meat Co. business or something. I don't know.
That's not a bad idea. We talked about doing that in the future, as far as selling our meat and stuff that we raise on the farm. The way we do it definitely takes a longer process than just the average everyday, people do it and they do it in the stores. So
Excellent. Well, Chris, I'll let you take over, man.
Ryan, you're coming off an absolute war with Matt Brown, fight of the year contender. What were your thoughts on your performance that night?
yeah, it was awesome. I enjoyed every moment of it. I thought I won the fight when it came down to the decision. I figured it'd probably be, it's going to be a split. May have he've gotten run around or whatever with some of the takedowns, but I thought overall I caused the most damage. It was very clear that I did. I thought it was clear that I hurt him multiple times. It was a good fight. He's a tough guy. I knew he would be. I knew he'd bring it. Um, so obviously for myself, I know I could always be better. I can always do better. We should have got the finish. We should have put him away, whatever. But like I said, Matt's a tough guy. He's a gamer and he's a veteran. So, um, it was just a back and forth fight. And I thought for sure I had the decision and I'm happy with my performance and honored to have fought Matt. And he's just a class act guy and great person.
Yeah, it was an absolutely amazing fight. And that fight was obviously in enemy territory. How was that dealing with that?
You know what? It wasn't, bad dealing with it as far as like the walkout, everything like that. I was in my zone, I was having fun with my walkout and getting in there was fine. Did hear booze, kind of put a smile on my face. It is whatever. And then with the decision, I thought with the way the fight went, how like it was back and forth and, exciting fight, fight of the night, fight of the year potential. Like we promised it would be that the fans would be more receptive to me winning, but they weren't. And that's okay too. They can boo or whatever, but in the end, it's all about I respected the Cleveland fans. I respect those guys, everybody for coming out and watching and rooting for Matt Brown. I understand that they were upset with the decision. That's their hometown guy, so it is what it is. I'm just gonna keep going out there and do what I do.
And I believe that was your first fight with the full capacity crowd since the pandemic. How did you enjoy that?
Yeah, it was nice. It was nice. I'm not gonna lie, I don't mind the Apex with limited fans or whatever. It doesn't bother me at all. But definitely the extra energy you get with it, with the fans being in the building and it roaring, it definitely puts a lot more, excitement on it.
Oh, no doubt. So now you got a huge fight with former champion Robbie Lawler. What was going on when you received that fight offer?
I asked for Robbie after my fight. It was the Matt Brown was the last fight on my contract, and was able to re-sign with the UFC. They wanted me back. If not, I was just gonna hang him up, pursue the farm or whatever. But I still want to fight. I believe I still got a lot of fights in me, and I want to continue putting on exciting performance for the UFC. So I took my shot out there of asking for Robbie, and I wasn't sure if it was gonna come or not, but luckily it did, and got the offer, email to say, hey, Bryan Barberena versus Robbie Lawler. Let me know your thoughts. And I was just like, hell yeah, I had originally planned to take more time off just to spend time with my family and everything. But when you get an offer like this dream fight for me, you can't say no.
And is this a type of fight that, kind of motivates you more, knowing that he's a former champion, knowing that he's been in arguably the greatest fight of all time?
Yeah, just knowing that I'm fighting him, like I'm a huge fan. I love everything. He's done great things and he's an amazing fighter and everything. But what excites me the most is just how he fights. It's not just that he's accomplished all these things and everything, but it's how he fights that excites me the most and really gets me, most excited for this matchup and training for this matchup because he brings it every time. He's trying to kill you. He's trying to take your head off. He's he has wrestling background. I'm sure he's a stud on the ground too. But man, he's one of those gamer guys like myself. He wants to go in there and just stand toe to toe and let it all hang out, So that really excites me. And man, I'm pumped up to go in there and put myself against him.
And are you expecting, another 50K check after this fight? Or are you going to have to be aware of Robbie's power?
I don't care about, if the 50K check comes, awesome. But if it doesn't, whatever. I don't go into fights thinking like I'm guaranteed the bonus with this fight or whatever. Even with the Matt Brown fight, I knew it would be a scrap, and sure, of course, I figured it would, probably be one of those fights where we get a bonus or whatever. I believe this fight is one of those fights that's going to be, it has the potential to be for sure fight of the year contender for this one again. Absolutely, there's a lot of stacked fights on the card, a lot of good fights. So we'll see what happens. But my biggest thing is just go out there and put on the best performance possible, and I'll be ready for him.
And what did you think of Robbie's recent fight with Nick Diaz? Obviously, that was a rematch like 17 years in the making. It got moved up the middleweight like last minute. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I thought he looked great. I thought he looked great. High output, got after Nick. I thought it was smart too, with the weight class going up and everything. Him putting the pressure on Nick and really being on top of him because, the weight cut for Nick, they had to move up and who knows, whatever, his layoff, whatever. But I thought he looked great. He had high output and put together combinations well, looked great. I expect him to bring that as well. I expect him to bring high output, lots of power, lots of punches, and, just really try to bring it to me. And I plan to give it to him right back.
And speaking of Nick Diaz, he recently said in the media that he wants Kamaru Usman. Kind of a far shot for me personally, but what do you think of that?
I agree. But this is the fight world and, whatever, who knows what's going to happen. Who knows? I can see possibly him getting the matchup or something just because he's a draw and everything and he's got a big backing. But ultimately, and I'm sure Kamaru, he has, his decisions too matter. If he's like, oh yeah, this is, big draw kind of thing to make money, I'm sure he'll go for it too. But yeah, I think it's far reached. He hasn't been in there for a while, and then he's just lost and stuff too. So it's basically just backing off his past and what he brings to the table.
And last question for me right now: if Nick Diaz is to come back, apparently he wants to come back. I think he said September. Would you like to see him? Because for me personally, I think Damian Maia might be a good guy for him.
Yeah, that's an interesting matchup. And Damian Maia just came out and said he's looking for another return. So. I think as far as jiu-jitsu wise, it's interesting. And on the feet, Nick, I think probably has advantage on the feet, but if it goes to the ground, when it goes to the ground, it'd be very interesting.
100%. Luke?
You former opponent, Leon Edwards, I mean, it looks like he's probably next in line to get that title shot against Kamaru Usman. I mean, How do you kind of see that fight going down? Do you think Kamaru Usman's hands are just too much for Leon?
Yeah, I think Kamaru's gonna, he's got a lot and a lot of weapons, and he's very good and constantly still improving. I think he's just gonna be a little too much for Edwards.
And thoughts on another former opponent, Colby Covington. I mean, he's looking great, looked great against Jorge Masvidal. How can you compare him when you fought him in compared to now?
Yeah, he's changed a lot. I think now he's working a lot more hands, you know, higher output with his hands for sure, mixing it up more and not really wrestling as much as hard. But I think it's a great thing for him because, ultimately he could always mix it in and bounce it back and mix, go back and forth between the wrestling and the striking. But I think him doing a high output with his hands and everything is really, people are always thinking he's going to shoot for takedowns. All he has to do is throw some feints in there and it's going to open up his hands more. And, he knows he can scramble and everything too. So I think he's improved a lot and he does look great.
And what do you think of his whole persona and shtick? Because obviously back when you fought him, he was a very nice and humble guy. And then since then, he's gone on to talk a lot of like smack and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a fan of it. Not a fan of it. And I think he goes too far. And I think it's allowed, it's allowed that he goes too far, honestly. Not a fan of it at all. And, I think trash talk or whatever to build fights is one thing, and that's fine. But I think there should be a limit. You can't go, and I thought there was pretty much kind of like a general limit or whatever. But, people seem, especially nowadays where it's getting more, you got to be talking all this much and saying this stuff or whatever. Can't just be about good fights and putting on fights. But, so I thought that was like a gentleman's courtesy kind of thing, but apparently not. And I'm just not a fan of it at all.
What do you think? Sorry, go ahead, Luke. Sorry.
Sorry about that. I do want to kind of bring up the fact about him getting attacked by Jorge Masvidal outside some bar. I mean, your thoughts on that, and what's your thoughts about fighters getting in trouble with the law outside the cage, and should there be more punishment?
I'm not the law or anything, so whatever punishment they get is what they get. And I thought, does he deserve it, as far as that goes, as far as like getting, beef outside of the octagon? Sure, there should be beef. Is a hit and run punch or something like that, just randomly hitting somebody, I don't think that's, out of nowhere. If you're going to do it, I mean, you were just in the cage for 25 minutes. So, I mean, there's that. And I get it, outside of the cage is one thing too, but if you're going to do it, don't sneak up on somebody. But I mean, did he deserve it? Sure. Yeah. He said some things that probably, but I wouldn't have probably done it that way. But again, I don't agree. I think people, the way, Colby's thing, they have beef. I'm sure he pushed it too far for sure. And, I don't agree with the way people handle things outside and how, they represent themselves. So, I don't know. I'm just not a fan of it.
And speaking of Colby, he's kind of in a weird position right now since he's lost to Kamaru Usman twice. What do you think's next for him? Because I know he called out Dustin Poirier. He's been rumored to go to 185. And then I think Dana said he wants him to fight Homsat. But ever since that Masvidal incident, he's been radio silent. So what do you think is next for him?
I don't know. I have no idea. We'll see what they match him up with. Like you said, I've seen some couple things against like Dustin and stuff like that. And I guess he's talked about going up to 85. Who knows? Maybe he may go back down to 55. Just, it'd be interesting to see. So I'm sure wherever he ends up, he's always kind of a draw. He's a kind of like a household name. He's a legend in the sport in himself. He's a veteran, so he's been around for a long time and always, is game to put on exciting fights. So I'm sure whoever he gets, it'll be good.
In another kind of a fun question I've been asking a lot of fighters lately, something kind of getting on a trend here. Have you ever received any weird or bad DMs or fan mail or anything like that?
Let me think. I mean, I've received, some crazy ones about like just how I'm terrible and all this stuff. Nothing crazy. Maybe some crazy stuff like people wanting to fight me, how they could whoop my ass, uh, how I'm terrible. I did receive one. I think it was more of like a comment on one of my pictures about a family member, and so that's not okay. Like, no, I just block people, man. I don't even take the time. I don't let it I don't accept any of it, have any space in my day or anything in my life for people who, want to say anything or whatever. It's as easy as blocking it. And, I believe it's a free country. I believe freedom of speech should still be alive. And as much as it's getting, blocked out and sugar coated or whatever, people should be allowed to say whatever they want. And, so with social media days now, it's, people go out there and just blast people and whatever. And yeah, it happens. And is it nice? No. Um, don't be on social media or hit the block button and ignore it. And you won't see their comments anymore, and you won't see them, and whatever, it's as simple as that. And that's exactly what I do. There's no reason for me to spend any time or invest any time in these people or anything like that. Cause I'm living a great life. You know, I'm having a good time. So I don't need the negativity, and I don't need to waste any time with it.
Very well said. What did you think of Homsat Chamiah versus Gilbert Burns? Because that was another fight of the year contender.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great fight. Great fight. But I thought Burns would bring it to him. I actually thought Burns would get him. My pick was for Burns, but great fight. I thought, Hamzat showed that, he has heart. He's not just like, if the fight gets tough, he's gonna just, which I didn't think he would, but you don't really ever know until you're out there getting tested. And so for him to dig deep and fire back and continue to push, and Burns, I mean, I kind of knew that in Burns, and, I knew he's a gamer for sure. So it was a great fight. Gosh, it was a great fight.
Yeah, that was type of fight that gets you off your seat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A big fan, a fan of both guys, the way they fight. So exciting.
And Bryan, I mean, after your fight with Robbie Lawler, say you win, would you kind of like to hope to get maybe a top 15 after being a guy like that? And what would be the next for you for 2022?
Yeah. I feel like Robbie Lawler, he has former champ, all this stuff, but he's a guy that you don't really hear many people call out. You don't really people ask him to fight Robbie Lawler because he's a monster. He goes out there and he brings it, and his last losses or whatever against top tier guys who, wrestled them for the most part, to beat him. So, but he's always very, very dangerous at all times of the fight. So I don't think you see a lot of people ask for him. I want him, and I want him at his best, and I want him in the center of the octagon, and we can trade it out. Let's go. Like, I'm not going to be shooting a double on you because, that's where you've lost your fights or whatever. I don't care. Let's exchange. Let's do it. I'm ready to get after it and get after him and put the pressure on him and swing right back. So I'm ready to exchange. It's going to be an exciting fight. After this fight, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm 100% invested in this fight right now. Numbers as far as rankings or whatever, that'll come if I continue to win. That's all that matters. And the fight that's in front of me right now is the one I got to win. And I'm ready to go out there and do it in a spectacular fashion.
Excellent. Chris, do you have anything?
Yeah, one last question. Bryan, do you have a certain cheat meal or anything after a fight?
After a fight, yes. Pizza, 100%. It's every time. Have to get it right after the fight. I literally just leave the arena, go back to my hotel room, and usually I already have somebody who's ordered it for me and has got it there, or it's like en route by the time I get there. It usually gets there about the same time. And so it's not sitting long. It's still nice and warm. But pizza 100% with the team, with the family. That's a must.
Now I've got to ask, is there pineapple on that pizza or no?
There's not, but I am a fan of pineapple pizza, even though everybody says it shouldn't be allowed on there. It is very tasty.
I feel the same way. Like, I'm not going to go out of my way to order it on my pizza, but if it's on it, I'll eat it. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm not going to pick it off or anything. I mean, I think it tastes actually pretty good. My kids love pineapple pizza too, so they get it kind of often as an order. So I mean, I always enjoy a slice. Come on.
What about you, Luke? Are you a fan of pineapple on your pizza or what?
Love pineapple on my pizza, but as soon as you throw corn or any of that Brazilian shit on there, I'm done.
Corn. I've never
Yeah.
heard of corn. I've never seen corn on pizza.
Apparently, it's a Brazilian thing. So
Really? Okay. Well,
you put corn on the pizza. I'm like, no, I'm not playing that.
I'll have a slice. I mean, come on. I'd try it for sure.
I mean, especially after a win, who cares? You're mowing the pizza
Yeah,
anyways.
yeah, exactly. After the win, well, I don't care what kind of pizza it is. Maybe if it had anchovies on it, I don't know about that, but anything else, I'm totally down.
Excellent. Well, Chris, if you don't have anything, I'm done. So, Bryan, I just want to thank you for taking your time to talk about your fight with Robbie Lawler. It's been a pleasure. It's always a pleasure having you on here. You're a great guy. And, good luck with your fight with Robbie Lawler. And we'll talk again soon, eh?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. It's great talking to both of you, Luke, Chris. Pleasure. And let's do it again sometime.
All right, Bryan.
Thank you, Bryan. Best of luck against Robbie Lawler.